The LSU Tigers should be very excited because I believe this guy was the best coach available now that Franklin came off the board. He went to Virginia Tech. So there was somebody that was going to land the LSU Tiger job after Brian Kelly was fired. And Lane Kiffin, if you don't remember him, and I remember him very, very well, he was a part of the Oakland Raiders organization. He was fired pretty quickly because accusations. It didn't work out in the NFL. I do believe Lane Kiffin is absolutely an NFL head coach. And eventually, if he wins a national title with the LSU Tigers, he could be looking to getting another job, just like Jim Harbaugh got after leaving Michigan. But he still needs to prove himself winning a national championship. For 5 or 6 years being over there at Ole Miss, he's had 3 consecutive 10-win seasons. He's been sensational for Ole Miss and what the college stands for. They haven't won a national championship since the 1960s. So when you look at Lane Kiffin and what he has providing a winning culture to the Ole Miss and bringing a winning culture to Ole Miss was something that Ole Miss was really craving for over the years. Obviously, when you get an offer like the LSU Tigers and you look at specifics, not only the money, but the opportunity to go to a college where everybody wants to play for. When you think of all-time great teams and college programs, you look at the LSU Tigers, Alabama Crimson Tide, those Ohio State Buckeyes, these are some of the biggest in all of the country. So when you get an offer like this, and even getting the incentive of 7 years, $91 million, of course you're going to go to a team that's going to give you better opportunities to recruit and better opportunities to win. But there are stories coming out from Ole Miss is that the director did not want to finish. He did not want him to finish the season over there at Ole Miss. Ole Miss has a chance to make the Final 12, make the tournament, where they can actually win a national championship. And Lane Kiffin has been one of the best coaches in the nation for the last 3 to 4 years. And having Lane Kiffin there would absolutely give them a boost and maybe give Ole Miss a chance to win a national championship. One they haven't won since 1962, if I'm not mistaken. But obviously the school did not want him to finish up because he would be talking to former recruits or players on his team to maybe transfer, go into the transfer portal to play for LSU next year, and coaches, which I want to give my little take to Stephen A. Smith. I watched bits and pieces of his show, First Take today, and I listened to Cam Newton's take, and I listened to Woody's take, and I listened to Stephen A. Smith's take. And they go back and forth, and Cam Newton and Woody do not believe that he should finish the season being the Ole Miss coach. Here's the problem, and I want to understand why you're arguing the facts that this guy started this season as a head coach. Why doesn't he finish it? And when you have a chance to win a national championship, why are you going to have an opportunity to win a national championship with a guy that has no experience as a head coach? He's been a defensive coordinator all season long, and he's never been a head coach anywhere. Lane Kiffin, his success rate as far as a head coach is concerned has been high. Now, has he won a national championship with Ole Miss? No. But he has done everything right when it comes to the culture and bringing a new culture, a new style of offense and defense to Ole Miss. And the fact that he's ditching and he's running away, anybody in their right mind, has a chance to coach the LSU Tigers, you're leaving Ole Miss to go to the LSU Tigers. I don't think there's any argument to it. The only way Ole Miss keeps him there is if they give him an substantial amount of money. I'm talking about possibly $22 to $25 million to coach every single year at Ole Miss, which they were not offering him. They were matching that money if he decided to stay with Ole Miss. And what Stephen A. Smith said, I would agree with. He thinks that he should have finished the season. Ole Miss should have let him finish the season as the head coach because they're heading into a tournament where, to me, you have an opportunity to win a national championship. And to get a chance to fight for a national championship is high praise for really a program that has not been there in such a long time. And the fact is, when you listen to Cam Newton's take and Woody's take, Well, they're worried about him stealing coaches. Well, guess what? The coaches already, practically every single coach made their decision before he came out on Sunday announcing his decision. Because I believe Lane Kiffin for the last 2 weeks knew where he was going. There was no surprise to this. I don't know why anybody thought it was. He didn't want to throw his team. He didn't want to throw the recruits. He didn't want to throw the players under the rug. And he wanted to make sure he did it at the right time. And I think he could have waited to the end of this season. But I believe the LSU Tigers gave him an ultimatum. You have to make a decision. He had to make a decision before the playoffs. And he made the decision. And he made the right one. But when you listen to Cam Newton and his take and, he shouldn't be doing this and he shouldn't be involved because he could reach out to old recruits. He can reach out to old recruits, and he could have reached out to old recruits 2 weeks ago, a week ago, 5 days ago. It's not like he didn't know this. So for anybody to come out like Cam Newton, Woody come out and say, to keep him away from the team and away from maybe winning a national championship, it makes a lot of sense, because if I was the director of sports over there, I'm not going to put my team in harm's way. I'm not going to put my program in harm's way where he's taking or set my team back for 5 to 10 years. Because honestly, not giving other coaches an opportunity to interview for the job, where they just hired the defensive coordinator, there was no other interviewers. They didn't interview anybody. They practically handed the job to the defensive coordinator. There are other quality coaches out there that could have interviewed for the job. And you're giving it to a rookie, a guy that's never coached a Division I football team. And to me, that puts Ole Miss in a bad situation, because you went from Lane Kiffin, who is one of the best coaches, one of the top 5 coaches in the country, to a guy no one's even heard of. No offense to him, and I know if you watch Ole Miss football, you know who he is. But anywhere in the nation, you have no idea who he is. There are other guys, there are quality coaches out there that you could have interviewed for or interviewed the job for. Why didn't you wait until the end of the season? Why didn't you wait until the tournament was over? It doesn't make any sense what Ole Miss has done over the last 48 hours. None of it does. Announcing any of this makes no sense. Now, I believe that Lane Kiffin, and where Lane Kiffin is he upset? I think he's upset. When you hear his interview, I think he's very upset for the fans. He's very upset for the players, because he recruited these players. And they had a chance to win a national championship, and he wanted to be a part of it. And the team and the school took that away. The program took that away from him, because he made a decision and made the right decision for him and his family. So by doing that, it took an option and an opportunity for Ole Miss to make a run for a national championship. Even to get into the semis would be a great feat for really a program that hasn't been there. I mean, you go back, we had Eli Manning. Okay, Eli Manning was there. They never even got close to a national championship. You had Jackson Dart, who's now the lead quarterback, the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. He was there. Did they ever had a chance to play for a national championship? No. They played in bowl games, but winning a national championship is what everybody strives for. That's why Lane Kiffin took this job at LSU. I'm not saying he couldn't win a national championship with Ole Miss, but he knew he had a better chance to win a national championship with the Tigers than he did over there in Ole Miss. And to listen to all these ex-Ole Miss players come out on social media after he made that announcement, thinking that Lane Kiffin did the wrong thing. Maybe should have taken the Ole Miss job or taken the extension with Ole Miss and maybe try to win a national championship with them in the next 4 to 5 years. I think the whole plan with Lane Kiffin was to go back to the NFL. I really do believe that Lane Kiffin's plan in the very near future is to take another NFL job. He thought he was wrongly screwed by the Raiders, and I believe, honestly, I thought he was. And we've seen the Raiders do it for a lot of people, do it to a lot of people. It did it to John Gruden, one of the greatest, I believe, coaches, one of the greatest offensive minds we've had over the last 20 years in the NFL. But the fact here is, when you look at where the Tigers are and where the Tigers are going to be next year, they have one of the best recruiting classes, one of the top 5 recruiting classes next year coming in. That's Brian Kelly's recruiting class. And I'm sure he is going to bring some of his guys over there. Does the LSU Tigers have the better chance of winning a national championship next year? Absolutely does. Absolutely does. Because automatically, when you see the portal and the amount of money with the NIL deals that are going to be given to these players going over to play for Lane Kiffin, there is more opportunity, more strive to go over there and play for national championship with LSU than going over there to Ole Miss. And I think it's crazy when everybody goes back and forth and they're attacking LSU or they're attacking Lane Kiffin for making this decision. There is no doubt in my mind he made the right decision. Now the questions are, did Ole Miss put themselves in the right position when they were one of the top 12 teams in the country and had a chance to make a move this year? Even if they fell short, having Lane Kiffin there, they have a better chance of winning than not having him there. Am I right or wrong? And how does this affect the program if he was there? It only benefits the program. And all the players that worked so hard this year and played so hard for this coaching staff and for this program are getting screwed. If there's anybody, and there's only people that are getting screwed, not the fans, it's the players that work their asses off all season long to put themselves in position to win a national championship. How is this fair to them? And that's what Lane was saying when he got interviewed. He said, listen, I want to be there for the kids. I want to be there. I want to win a national championship. We had a chance to win a national championship this year. But he said, well, listen, the school's going to make their decisions. They think they're making the right decision. I believe they're making the wrong decision. And
I get what you're saying, though, but you even said something, too, that brings us to kind of counter, act what you said. Like, it's unfair to the kids, right? This, that, and another thing. And he's trying to show whatever. Well, if you were fully committed to these kids that you spent 4 years ago, why didn't you make something work where you didn't have to have them make this decision and you did it at the end? Saban brought up something where he was like, they need to be held responsible the same way these kids are, where they have a time frame where they can only talk to these coaches and have this. Because if I'm a parent and I'm a player and my son has grinded with you and got into a position and you say you care and love for me, well, you really didn't, because you didn't finish what you started.
Well, he wanted to finish
and
what he
so
started.
If
he wanted to.
What's that?
He wanted to. He wanted to finish what he started.
100%, but he could have done that if he would have just finished the season. I don't know if that was realistically possible with all this.
It wasn't. They Ole Miss
and
was
so,
not allowed.
But that's to Saban's point is why should they supposedly care for these kids and all of this other stuff and say whatever makes them look good, but yet can just leave whenever they want to?
Well, he was waiting until the end of the season. It was Ole Miss that told him, listen, you make a decision before the playoff, and if you make that decision to go to LSU, we don't want you coaching the team. Because they're
right,
afraid.
But that's where the NCAA has to step in and be like, hey, this isn't allowed. Then you have to wait till the season's over. If that's what you're going to do and make a decision, and you got to take that chance or whatever. Because if you tell me that to my face, if you tell me that to my face that, oh, I'm all in, I want to do this, but you left realistically for what was a better opportunity, which don't fault you for that. But if you truly, genuinely cared, you're like, know what? I don't need this money. These are my kids. I want to win and finish what I started with this group of gentlemen, this group of young men that I've gotten to know on a crazy level. And so I just think that the NCAA needs to come in and where it'd be like, okay, this isn't fair to these kids. It's not fair to the parents. It's not fair to the fan bases that grew attached to these young men that made a decision to come there and stay there. And now it's like, okay, you care about them. You care about Ole Miss. You want to do this, right? But you're shit going to take those guys with you if they want to come. So do you really, truly, genuinely care? And Bill Cowher brought it up, and he's 100% right. This ain't about you, Lane Kiffin. It's about you, Lane Kiffin. It ain't about the school. It's about you. Because you said you have this choice and you have this. And so he made it in an instance where we probably all make this decision in the same way, right? And where it's a tough decision because you do have that relationship. But where we can kind of eliminate some of this back and forth, which it creates great dialogue and understanding of what, the game has kind of become and how, some of these coaches get out of the game because it's switched so much. But where he does it to where it makes it look like, okay, I'm going to say the right things. But really, he's going to tell those kids, you can come to Ole Miss with me. These coaches, you can come to Ole Miss with me. You have to get on the plane now, this, that, and another thing. And boom. So it's really about you. It's not because you're going to have to go recreate something else at LSU.